break is over. Let's get started!
Hey besties, this is your Fat Babe reminder to eat that cheeseburger at the damn beach.
As a certified sand eater, I cannot agree more. It's been 2 hours, and I still can't get the sand out of my patties.
That's right, I said it. Put that bikini on, take your food down to the beach, and snack your little heart away.
If cheeseburger is a snack, then pizza is a salad. Oh, wait.
I don't care if someone's looking at you. You've got to eat, right? So do they. Just because you're a fat babe on the beach doesn't mean you can't eat. Oh, and don't forget to take those bloody pickles off. Ew.
She just ditched the only vegetable she's ever known.
We're fat. Of course we're wearing bike shorts underneath skirts and dresses. No chub rub here. We're fat. Of course the only medical advice we've ever received is to lose weight, no matter the ailment. We're fat. Of course we grew up wearing a t-shirt over our bathing suit. We're fat. Of course we're gonna pull our shirts down over our knees to stretch them out a little bit. That's normal. We're fat. Of course men are rude to us in public, but slide into those DMs.
They all keep saying this, but there's been zero proof. Maybe she's just so desperate that she thinks a Nigerian prince is actually hitting on her. Hurry! I need to get my bank account info to him.
We're fat. Of course I've done the Weight Watchers diet. Slim Fast. Jenny Craig. Nutrisystem. South Beach. Kellogg's Red Berries. Atkins Diet. Whole30. Keto.
Start a crash diet today. Join the fat acceptance movement tomorrow. That's what I call a yo-yo lifestyle. I mean, keto gets all this hate just because it's making them say bye-bye to candy bars. Go ahead, take away our health, but leave us our cakes.
We're fat. Of course we endured a childhood of internalized fat phobia, only to find fat scholarship later in life and discover that anti-fatness is rooted in misogyny, racism, colonialism, and has evolved to be a major tool of patriarchal capitalism. And we've discovered that the way to truly make everyone better and happier is to love ourselves in a way that is rebellious and authentic.
My God, what a dumb sentence. Here at Fat Activist Team, we pull random words out of our butts and take no responsibility for the consequences of our actions.
2, 3, 4.
Sorry about that, folks. I accidentally posted a video of my new band practicing.
The idea that fat people are promoting obesity is nonsense. Promoting obesity is not a real thing and it never has been. There are no multi-million-dollar marketing campaigns telling thin people to get fat quick, or a $72.7 billion weight gain industry in the United States alone, or government-funded initiatives aimed at eliminating the existence of thin people.
What? She is saying like it's a government program to capture obese people and turn them into soap. There is actually $1 trillion weight gain industry. It's called the American food industry, and it's the only industry that is growing at the same rate as your waistline.
Oh my God! Inhuman reactions!
It doesn't count as dancing if the range of movement is 0. That's just awkward jiggling.
So we have, of course, seen a large uptick, pun intended, of fat creators now posting about their intentional weight loss and really like hyping up Ozempic, Mounjaro, Wegovy, and other mechanisms, and also just like, I guess, natural intentional weight loss.
There is nothing worse than seeing others losing weight while you are still fat, right? That's why you've decided to stop dieting and just start hanging out with fatter people.
Here's the thing. The problem is not the weight loss, although, of course, there can be lots of frustrating feelings regarding weight loss. The problem is when you are on an intentional weight loss journey and then you also intentionally shit on the fat community at the same time. So here's the thing. Number one, you can go on an intentional weight loss journey without then talking shit about the fat community, especially for those of you whose platforms were built by the plus size community. And those brand deals you got were also from partnerships with plus size companies and size expansions and other things of that sort. So you can do that without then calling the fat acceptance community and fat liberation a cult.
Join them or burn in hell forever. Nobody's allowed to leave. There is no way you could win. If you decide to lose weight, you will lose friends, sponsors, and a bra size. Not necessarily in that order.
It's also just not very original, this is number 2, to spew anti-fat bias in ways by like saying the fat acceptance community is a cult, or saying that like you gotta watch your health, like all the things that fat phobia has taught us. Like, get an original argument at least is all I'm like hoping you'll do in the meantime.
In my day, we just called it not wanting to die, not an anti-fat bias. Totally not a cult, just a legitimate mass hallucination.
And the third piece here is that I have seen a lot of these fat creators who are on an intentional weight loss journey then kind of like saying like, people are mad at me and people hate me because I'm losing weight. And it's like, let's not conflate the feelings here. So yes, there probably is a group of people who are upset at you and angry at you because you are now spewing the fat phobic diet rhetoric that they were trying to escape. But also, mostly people are upset with you that instead of just losing weight and doing that whole thing and not shitting on fat people, you chose to do both of those things, lose weight and then denounce the fat community. That is what we're angry about. We're angry that you then shat upon us all in the fat community. Again, not original. Again, try something new. Again, you do not have to do those things. You do not have to start spewing anti-fat biases.
You see? Once you're part of the fat acceptance movement, you can't just leave like that. Because you won't fit through the door. But seriously, they don't want to hear your opinions. When an ex-activist says, that movement made me so fat, I couldn't even wipe my butt anymore, they're suddenly the enemy and must be destroyed.
And also, I'll remind you of what it is like to be fat in this world, in this society, specifically in the US. And I'll remind you that you only have a small taste of thin privilege. And if you continue to stay plus size, even while losing weight, you will never have all of the thin privilege that being thin gives you. So you will still be oppressed by the power dynamic. And if you do happen to gain weight, or if you do happen to have this moment where your pendulum comes back to a more steady middle ground, the fat community will remember. We will. And most likely, statistically, it will happen that you will gain weight back. This is like the science part of the conversation. So anyways, you don't need to turn your back on the communities that you belong to. Just a reminder. You don't have to do it.
Hey, I thought this was a spiritual journey, not a hostage situation. I think it's time we pick a cult leader, start wearing robes, and have weekly gatherings. I believe they're going to do it as soon as they can find a building that doesn't have any stairs.
Fat phobia isn't real. A lot of you will literally brag about how you'd rather be dead than be fat. Nobody's scared of fat people. Phobia means fear. Why do you guys cry like little babies then whenever you see a fat person just existing? Honestly, our impact, like, you hate us, but we stay in that mind. We stay in that noggin.
It's like saying not having herpes is herpes phobic. The truth is, I'm probably just jealous because they can eat whatever they want, and I can't. I just have some self-respect. Nah, I'm kidding. I'm commenting on their TikToks. Of course I don't have self-respect.
You sure about that? You sure about that? You sure about that?
I'm not sure what it is, but I know it's illegal.
We have a culture that's incredibly disordered around food and eating, and I think that becomes most prevalent when we start to talk about sweets.
I agree. We have donuts the size of your head, milkshakes that are 64 ounces, and giant gummy worms. And still we wonder why we are getting fat.
I constantly see this very black and white framing around sweets and sugar and any kind of indulgences.
There's this ongoing battle between tasty food and healthy food. But then there's also that gray area where you just can't get enough of watermelon. That's not a joke. That's just a little known fact about me.
And what I don't think people realize is that when you create this dichotomy that sweets are bad, you shouldn't eat them, and if you do eat them, you should eat them as little as possible, that it creates this mentality for people where instead of being able to have a healthy, reasonable relationship with those foods, instead it becomes something that's demonized.
Scientists have actually found that sugar stimulates the same part of your brain as crack. That explains why after I eat sugar, I break into your house and steal your TV. Honestly, I just don't think you're a woman who can have a sane and healthy relationship with a cookie. No offense. Okay, offense.
So people feel ashamed for wanting to eat those sweets. They might get into these habits like hoarding those sweets, binging on them, and then, purging later. I just don't know why the idea that all foods having a place on our plate is something that people think is so radical.
Be sure to mention that to your doctor when he tells you have diabetes. With so many sweets and cakes filling up your plate. Cakes, the food group.
A lot of you are only skinny because of your DNA, and yet when a lot of you see fat people, you assume, oh, they must be overeating. They must be eating junk food all day. Consider this. Maybe everybody's bodies are different, and other people's regular weight might just be higher than yours.
Maybe Santa Claus is real. I'm just saying, you don't really see a lot of fat pro athletes.
Obviously, what other people eat is none of your business, and I don't believe in moralizing food, but perhaps if you need to, starve yourself in order to be a certain weight, your body just isn't supposed to be that weight.
So you either starve yourself or have to pay for 2 seats on the airplane. There is nothing in between.
I lifted up my shirt today to see if I had any abs yet, and a Cheeto fell out.
You do not want to see what she does with Pringles. Now don't act like I'm the weird one.
Okay, so I was flying back from a work trip yesterday, and I get on a plane. The person that I'm sitting next to in the seat is already sitting. She gets up, I get in, I sit down. I am trying, like any fat person on a plane ever, to make myself as small as is humanly possible, always. Does not say a word to me. I can tell that she's not super impressed that I am her seatmate, whatever, no surprise there. But then she flags over a flight attendant and says to the flight attendant, "I'm sorry, I'm too crowded. I need to be moved."
Oh my God, who the hell cares?
You are not in first class. This is not a private plane. The audacity of this woman.
Imagine you're just chilling on the plane, doing your own thing, and then your seatmate decides to plop their belly right in your lap. I think that's called getting upgraded to first class. I believe the lady didn't sign up for this. I'm not even going to finish the joke because it's already too stressful. Newsflash, folks, if you're making other people want to run for the hills, you might not be the most pleasant person to be around.
Flight attendant looks uncomfortable, looks around for another seat, finds one, and moves her. I'm not gonna lie, there was a solid 2 minutes where I just felt so much shame. I felt like I was wrong for being on that plane. I felt embarrassed about my body, and I was mortified. And then it occurred to me that I didn't want to sit next to her either. And instead of spending the next 3.5 hours of my life next to a person that viscerally hated my body and me by extension, was too rude to even say hello to me, I now had 2 seats all to myself that I could spread out and watch One Tree Hill and just be left alone.
It's going to keep happening until you lose weight. I'm sorry. Maybe try to use Jetpack next time.
Ugh. Brother, ugh. What's that?
I think it's totally possible to have a good faith discussion about the ways that access to food impacts weight. I think it's a valid argument to say that capitalism has changed the way that we access food, and that this often causes the cheapest foods to be foods that are not very nutrient dense. I think that this is also why it's reasonable to suggest that there is a correlation between weight and poverty, where people who are poor tend to also weigh more.
The Department of Obvious Studies, oh really, university. But I want to say that fast food is freaking expensive. All I can afford is a carrot stick and half of a potato.
I think that we should strive for a world where all people have access to high-quality, nutrient-dense food. But that being said, I think that even in a world where everyone has access to high-quality, nutrient-dense food, that there will still be body diversity, and that that's okay.
There is diversity in body height, muscles, and bone structure. But when it comes to fat percentage, it's really all about how much you know about nutrition and how active you are each day. In other words, the fitter you are, the more you know about food and exercise. That said, if you're smart about it, you don't have to be rich to stay in shape. Unless you want to buy your own island to run on.
Back with another sneaky perk of being fat. I don't have to worry about my boyfriend leaving me if I get fat, Because I'm already fat, and I've been fat the whole time, and he hasn't left.
Maybe he just got lost in your fat folds. Sorry, that was mean. I believe he is honored to be there. Let's be real. Boasting about how your boyfriend hasn't dumped you yet just screams insecurity.
So if I get pregnant and I have a kid and my body changes or whatever, it wouldn't even be that different. Sometimes people don't even realize they're pregnant because they already have so much weight that they carry in their stomach.
Isn't it kind of risky to be so blind to the fact that you're pregnant? What if you overlook something important? I don't see it as a sneaky perk. I see it as a disaster.
Compliments that fat people receive that are not actually compliments. You have such a pretty face. Look at you wearing that. Oh, you're so brave. I could never wear something like that. You look like you give really good hugs. I'm so proud of you for choosing the healthy option. You're not fat. You're beautiful. I never have to worry about you when you're around my significant other, because I know there's no threat. You're not fat. You're just sturdy. Oh, don't call yourself fat. You're just, a little fluffier. I would love you and want to be your friend even if you were way bigger. And there's tons more. So what other ones did I miss? Leave them in the comments.
Did you just call me Blob?
If you're not into nice words from others, let's make sure you never hear them again. Compliments are so off-trend. That's why I stick to roasting people's looks.
Leave fat people alone challenge failed.
Keep up the great work, everyone. Where's our parade?